Hey, good afternoon, friends. Today is Sunday, August the 4th, 2024, and the time now is 4:31 p.m. So, the days of rage protest continues in Nigeria. The Nigerian people are saying enough is enough, or basically, enough is and enough should be enough. This is a protest that many saw coming, but it is a protest that is long overdue because as much as many in Africa basically hold Nigeria to an esteem, to a greater degree or a higher degree or level of esteem, many in Africa also do believe that Nigeria is one such country that should be leading the way for change in Africa. One, because it is a country with a huge talent pool. It is a country with a massive population. It is a country with brains. Of course, many of Nigerian brains continue to leave the country in order to seek opportunities elsewhere around the world. In Nigeria, the people have been protesting the cost of living in the country. And one thing that sparked such protest is the so-called reform that the president, Bola Tinubu, basically implement. And one of the consequences is that he basically pulled the subsidy from some such goods and services or gasoline. So Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, removed subsidies on products such as gasoline. And as a result, this act basically jacked up the price of products such as gasoline to basically tripling the price. In addition, you have cost of other things throughout the country. And it is said that the cost of food had skyrocketed since Tinubu came to power and since Tinubu began to implement his so-called reform. I don't know what African government and president or leaders are doing. And people such as Tinubu, perhaps his reforms were much earlier or came in much earlier than William Ruto or so. I know William Ruto actually had some reform done last year, and the people of Kenya did not react as much as they react this year currently. So he got away with it, and he basically began to initiate a second round of reform, and the people of Kenya say enough is enough. Perhaps leaders such as Bola Tinubu of Nigeria, not only he failed to recognize what was happening in Kenya, he refused to recognize and basically take swift action to basically correct what happened in Kenya in terms of changing the economic outlook of the country, trying to maybe repeal some of those reforms. However, it seems as if Tinubu basically learned from what happened in Kenya in terms of his willingness and his ability to use the security apparatus of Nigeria, the police and the military of Nigeria against the Nigerian people. So far, it is said that about 13 people have died since the protest began in Nigeria, and about 700 people have been arrested throughout the country. And there has been protests, or there are currently protests happening throughout Nigeria to end, as it is said in the hashtag, end bad government or Tinubu must go. Now, if you're Nigerian and you're watching this program or video or talk, however you want to say it, please answer the question. Please join the conversation. Should Tinubu go? Should Bola Tinubu go? And if so, how should he be dealt with? Perhaps he is not going to go because he's going to fight back. And this is what we are seeing in Nigeria with the use of the military and the police to basically squash the protest. However, they seem to do something smart because Tinubu immediately tried to talk to the youth, okay? Basically asking them to quell, okay, to stop the protest and to basically have a talk, okay, with the youth. And a couple of government officials came out and made such a similar statement. But I do find one prominent similarity of what Tinubu is doing now to what William Ruto did in Kenya, which is he immediately came out and stressing that the people, the protesters, many of them are looters or this and that. Basically, people who are menace to society, who are causing chaos. That could be smart on his part, but perhaps that could be dangerous for him because it could basically piss off a lot of people. Basically, seeing his statement as derogatory and insulting. And if that is the case, we could see more protests in Nigeria. Now, in terms of the protest in Nigeria, I do welcome the protest as long as and as much as the protest should be peaceful protest. And it is the case so far. I look at one flyer on social media where the protesters, this protest in Nigeria is highly organized, and they do have posters or pamphlets basically recommending protesters to protest safely and peacefully, to do this and do that, basically not getting caught in the nonsense, in the trap that the security apparatus or the military or the police could be setting for protesters. And the protest is basically taking place on social media. The information is spreading like wildfire on social media. And this could be the best thing that is happening for humanity. I do remember telling one young people that the best thing for this generation is social media. Because with social media, they can spread information and connect with one another. So once again, I must repeat that the best thing that have occurred, okay, for this young generation is social media. Social media in addition to the internet and smartphone or smartphones. Now, in terms of the internet, we are able to spread, to disseminate information, okay, as fast as we could have done so in the past. Now, in terms of the internet, we are able to, as I said a couple of seconds ago, to spread information and to research. In addition, young people are smart in that they are able to hack security apparatus, they are able to hack one another or various institutions out there, okay, of information. They are able to get around firewalls, they are able to get around media or internet blockade and censorship. In addition to the smartphone, where with the smartphones, young people can go live, they can record something and immediately disseminate that thing, that information as it occurred. For example, one such incident, okay, that of the murder of George Floyd. You have a young lady basically went live, okay, and took a picture and immediately spread it all over the world, and many people had access to it. As things unfold, you can go live and people are going to be able to see it, to watch it, to witness it as it occurred or occurs. That has never been the case many centuries ago, okay, or many decades ago. Prior, we had the regular camera where you have to take the picture, then you go to the dark room, you have to develop the picture, and a whole lot of things you have to do. And it takes hours and days. And then you have the camera that you have to wind. After you take a picture, you wind it to reset it. And that you have to do until once you are done, then you take it to Walmart or wherever, and then they develop it. Now we are using digital camera, and we are getting digital pictures which we can spread around the world as things occurred. So with that, politicians are not able to censor incidents, events as they occurred, and preventing the rest of the countries and the rest of the world from seeing it. And with social media, things are happening on social media. Young people are spreading information and supporting one another and helping one another behind government censorship. Now, in terms of what is happening in Nigeria, if it was happening in the 90s or even early in the 2000s, Tinubu or whichever governments out there can basically prevent it from occurring. Because in most cases, only the government supported or the government controlled media could basically have influence or access to the various pictures and videos that were coming out, okay, in terms of when events occurred. But that is not the case. Everyone is everyone's journalist, and everyone is out there with their cameras recording things as they occurred. And that is an amazing development that I do believe that we as a society and as a global community must continue to celebrate and not take for granted. Now, in terms of Nigeria, what is happening in Nigeria, I do believe there is going to be, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but in a positive way, some form of, should I say, jealousy or the need to outdo the other country that I do feel could happen in Africa. We have situation in Kenya. Perhaps the Nigerians are now saying, how can we outdo what happened in Kenya, and making sure that Tinubu and future Nigerian government don't mess with us. Perhaps the next place could be Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians, the young people in Ethiopia could go all out. Perhaps Egypt next, perhaps Liberia, perhaps Senegal, perhaps Congo, perhaps South Africa, perhaps Tanzania, perhaps Sudan. So I do feel like in the future we could be seeing young people engaging in protest and not necessarily enacting bad behavior, but engaging in peaceful, substantive protest out there for change, doing it safely, perfectly, and respectfully, but with the drive to outdo the previous protest in the previous region, cities, or countries, to make sure that their politicians don't mess with them anymore. Now, friends, I am going to end here. Please tell me what you think, but please join the conversation. Spread this with your friends and family or families. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, and I want to thank you once again for joining and watching the Echoing Voice. Peace.